for his Super Mario Galaxy speedruns as well. He speedruns all kinds of games and is very proficient at pretty much all of them. So two pretty well-established speedrunners going at it here, and there they are off to start the prologue. So see the runners jumping a lot. I assure you that's not because they're bored, even though they might do it anyway. But it is because jumping is actually faster. The more jumps you can get off in the prologue, the faster you'll go, actually. Each jump saves about 2 frames due to the inherent speed boost you get from an actual jump. And we are privileged with a deathless prologue from both players. Very nicely done. And we've learned how to dash as well. Thanks, Bird. So we're going to use this dash a lot. Dashing is pretty much the basis of this speedrun, as you might imagine. Dashing's fast, and also preserving that momentum is also fast by jumping. So you lose a lot less speed in the air than you on the ground. So you'll see them dashing and then immediately jumping to preserve that momentum. Using techniques known as hyperdashing and dash canceling. Hyperdashing just basically being a crouched version of a dash cancel, but just it's a lower, longer jump, and it's generally faster to hyperdash than to dash cancel. But you'll see the players utilizing that right away in the city. City's got a little bit of everything, which is pretty unique for a first chapter or a first part of the game to showcase like pretty much all your speed tech, honestly. You also see the players doing something called wall bouncing or vertical hypering, which is essentially dashing up against the wall, dashing upwards against the wall, like what Vallu did just there, and then jumping while you have dash momentum. And what that does, it gives you a pretty big vertical boost. It's very fast when you want to move straight up. Vallu also neutral jumping to bypass the platforming in that room. Neutral wall jumping is a method to climb a wall without using any stamina, by the way. So that's very useful in a couple parts of this run. Vallu finishing Chapter 1, and Shredberg well on his way. Now we have Vallu starting up Chapter 2, which is going to introduce a couple new mechanics. Most notably, the Dream Block mechanic, which Vallu is going to do by activating this mirror here. So Dream Blocks are pretty simple. You dash in one side and come out the other way. You can't change direction inside the Dream Blocks, and if you dash into a wall while you're in Dream Block, I'm sorry, that was a commentator's curse. You will die. So don't do that. Now we have Battleline chasing you. She mimics your every move exactly 3 seconds behind you. Generally, speedrunners don't have a problem with Battleline. However, there are a couple rooms where she can come into play. Meanwhile, Shredberg activating that mirror as well. Releasing the hounds. Or, just Battleline. Pretty long room here from Vallu. This is the most treacherous room in Chapter 2 right here. Very long. It's really the first long room in the game, to be honest with you. But deaths are very punishing in that room. But Vallu navigating it very well. Yeah, is going to move on to the Awake section. Worth noting, you can actually jump out of these Dream Blocks, by the way. Which gives you a slight speed boost as well. Very nicely avoided there by Shredberg. He made a little bit of a mistake in moving up and had to deal with Battleline, but did so in a way where he did not die, so that was very nice. Vallu finishing up Chapter 2. Pretty nice time of 1:56. This room right here that Shredberg is going through, by the way, is one of the rooms where you do have to deal with the battle lines as a speedrunner. One of the few. This one as well. You see Vallu starting Chapter 3. Chapter 3 is very cycle-based. You'll see dust bunnies moving back and forth in circles in a variety of different patterns in an attempt to kill you. However, the speedrun generally finds a way to avoid these for the most part. Probably. So there we see an extended hyperdash from Vallu. An extended hyperdash is there's a hyperdash, and then there's an extended hyperdash where you jump between 10 and 15 frames after your dash. It's a 5-frame window, and when you do that, you actually gain your dash back midair, so it can be used to jump longer gaps and also provide more speed in the air. We see the lock switch mechanic there on the previous screen from Vallu. When you collect the coins, when you collect all the coins in the room, generally it causes something to happen, causes a block to move. In that case, it causes the block to move out of the way to allow the way open, or to the way forward to open, excuse me. Huge mess room. Navigation can be a pain sometimes here. All these nooks and crannies to navigate around. Vallu doing so pretty well. So here in the huge mess section, we have 3 subsections of the game here that we need to complete before moving on for collecting that key in the middle of the huge mess room. So each button that you press here, so Vallu's going to come up on a button here pretty soon. He's going to press it. Now you'll notice in this room that a lot of the debris is actually gone. So these books, towels, and boxes in this huge mess room go away with each button you press. And this part of the game is actually routed particularly so that Oshiro is in the same spot every time after you complete sections 1, 2, and 3, depending on, it doesn't matter which order you do them in. So we route this section depending on where Oshiro is at the end of each section, so that we move as little as possible in the biggest room in the level. And as Chapter 3 is very cycle-based, you'll see a variety of different strats to avoid the cycles. More advanced players will obviously choose more advanced strats, like that one right there for Vallu. That's very nicely done, that skip. Meanwhile, Shredberg entering the huge mess room. See how well he can navigate this part. Vallu finishing up huge mess. Moving on to the elevator shaft section, another very technical part of Chapter 3. Nice wall bouncing strats there from Vallu. Ooh, another really nice one. Shredberg opting not to do the quote-unquote spike jump, which I didn't even discuss. By the way, a fundamental property of spikes in this game. You'll see Vallu actually did it, but I didn't mention it because I was too busy explaining something else. So a fundamental property of spikes in this game is that they essentially don't have a hitbox when you're moving in the same direction that they're pointing. So you can actually jump off a wall behind spikes if you're moving away from the wall, which is really interesting. It'll come into play a little bit later as well in Chapter 4. Here we have Oshiro getting really mad at us and chasing us off the roof of his hotel and attempting to kill you because the other half of you basically told him that his hotel was a dump, so he's mad. even more cycle-based rooms as well. Oh, unfortunate that there from Vallu. Yeah, these rooms can be pretty treacherous at times. Meanwhile, Shredberg just cleaning up this huge mess section. I swear I was not trying to make a pun there, it just happened. My apologies. Vallu handling the last few rooms pretty well there. From the O-shred section, that last room especially can be very treacherous, so any completion of that room without dying is a successful one in my book. Now Shredberg finishing up huge mess. Unlocking that door, moving on the elevator shaft as Vallu starts Chapter 4. Chapter 4 is going to introduce a couple of new mechanics. You'll see blue bubbles, which basically act as another dash. You'll see wind, which is going to affect the player's movement. And you'll see clouds, which act as trampolines, essentially. Interesting thing about wind, actually, is that the wind actually does not affect you when you're dashing. So you'll see it doesn't really affect speedrunners as much as it would casual play. Yeah, it doesn't affect dashing. It also doesn't affect hyper dashing. So hyper dashing is very useful in this section. Especially useful in this section. So you see on Vallu's screen coming up here, you'll see him do that spike jump that I mentioned. So instead of taking this block all the way up, you just spike jump there. It's not technically a spike jump. Spike jump is a little bit of a misnomer, but we call it that for consistency's sake and for ease's sake. Very nice auto-scroller skip. The bunny hop version there from Vallu saves about a second over the extended hyperdash method, which is both are effective, but that's a little bit faster, a little bit more dangerous though. Meanwhile, Shredberg starting off Oshiro. Nice extended hyperdash there to bypass there. We're choosing to retry in this room to catch the death cycle. Pretty smart. You'll see a lot of personalization in the strats for pretty much every runner in this game. No two runners are alike. No two runners use the same strats, which is a beautiful thing about this game. There are a lot of different ways to go about speedrunning this. And one of the great things about this tournament, in my opinion, is that you get to see all those firsthand, side by side. It's pretty cool. Vallu about to start up Cliff Face, which is the most treacherous part of Chapter 4 for sure. Ooh, that was odd. He somehow got to the cloud without activating the block. That's pretty hard to do. I didn't mention the snowballs as well. There's some dumb guy throwing snowballs at you off the screen. I don't know who that guy is, but I don't like him, and neither does any speedrunner, I would assume. But if you're even a little bit off cycle in these rooms, very nice room there for Vallu, nice cycle. If you're even a little bit off cycle, those snowballs can be quite troublesome. Shredberg starting up Chapter 4. So Vallu at this point is a little bit less than a level ahead of Shredberg. Nice save there. Chapter 5, my personal favorite chapter. It's going to introduce a couple new mechanics. You'll notice in this room, dashing actually moves these platforms. It kind of snaps them in one direction. Vallu's going to perform a skip here. He's going to skip a red bubble on the left by just bunny hopping through there. Nice bunny hop method. That's one you don't see too often, actually. There are a lot of different ways to do that skip. Some harder and faster than others. That's probably one of the faster ones, to be honest. Later on, we'll see even more new mechanics. Vallu's got to opt to do a alternate strat there. Decent save. We'll see what method of auto-scroller skip Shredberg decides to go for here, if he does the auto-scroller skip. My money's on extended hyper. Oh, he's not even going to try it. That's respectable. And we see Vallu entering the... about to enter the unraveling section. A bit of a genius in game design here. You actually assume control of a seeker here. And it just basically tells you like what the seeker does. It's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting from a game design standpoint. Got some exciting cutscene skipping action going on there. Honestly, one of the hardest parts of the run. And while Shredberg doing auto-scroller number 2 in Golden Ridge. Fun fact, there is a way to skip this auto-scroller, but it's ridiculously difficult and never worth doing in a run. And I believe to this day only 2 people have even done it successfully. Vallu in the most treacherous room in Chapter 5 right here. So even a little bit of a mess up in movement can result in this Seeker being kind of unpredictable. Vallu with the duck dodge. We Matrix now. Alright, approaching search skip here. This skip saves about 2 minutes overdoing this part of Chapter 5 casually. If you're learning this speedrun, that is the skip to learn right there. If you're going to learn one skip in this game, that is the one. It's just a reverse jump dash, get your dash back, and then just dash across, and you're good. Alright, so Vallu's going to be approaching Theo, the sort of escort mission in this run. Interesting thing about Theo is that you cannot dash while you're holding Theo, so you're required to, or not required to do it, but it's faster to actually throw Theo, and then provide your own momentum. Wow, nice boost. By hyperdashing into Theo and catching him. And as such, this is one of the most technical parts of the run, one of the most input-heavy parts of the run because of that. Definitely requires some of the most practice of any other parts of this run. Nice momentum boost there, using the momentum from that platform to jump all the way into the next room. Oh, couldn't quite get the new jump up there. Secret, please. All right, nice avoidance there. So Vallu at this point pretty much maintaining his one level lead, as you see Vallu finishing Chapter 5 as Shredberg is about to begin Chapter 5. I forgot to mention these red bubbles, by the way, that Shredberg is utilizing here. Red bubbles essentially act as an infinite dash in one direction until you hit something or dash out of it. Shredberg opting to use the red bubble over here as opposed to trying to skip. So that's the part that Vallu skipped. Chapter 6, introducing feathers. Feathers allow you to fly in any direction you want. You can change direction as well. And the fun fact about feathers is that they actually are the only thing in the game that control... actually, not the only thing, but that's the only important thing that you can control omnidirectionally. So dashes move in one of 8 directions, depending on, like, or one of 8 cardinal diagonal directions. Feathers you can move in any direction, 360. Chapter 6 also introduces Kevin blocks, as we call them. Shoutouts to Kevin Regami from Power Up Audio. They're properly called crush blocks, but we call them Kevin blocks. More neutral jumping there from Vallu to bypass the feather on the lower left to get up there, which is the intended way. So Chapter 6 allows a lot of use for the for momentum boosting off of these Kevin blocks, as they move pretty fast, and you can hyper or even just jump off of them to gain a lot of speed. Also bumpers. They're annoying, but they can also help you. Ooh, nice bumper skip there from Vallu. I would say Chapter 6 is one of those chapters that just has so many little difficult strats that save only a little bit of time each, but really add up. Since Chapter 6 is a pretty long chapter, it's the second longest chapter in the game. Another very nice skip there. If you hold in the opposite direction where you hit a bumper, as you hit the bumper, which is much easier said than done, you'll fly like twice as far, and you can actually skip that bumper there. Okay, Vallu getting redemption in that room, because he had a race earlier that I casted as well, and he did the same exact thing, but he died. This time he saved it, so GG. Here we have some dev-intended shortcuts through Chapter 6. The first two have setups and are pretty easy, but that last one is... that last one can be tricky, so props to Vallu for getting that first try. Shoutouts to water. And nice battle and boost there. That's exactly what I'm talking about when I say boosting off of Kevin blocks. So you can actually hyper off of that block, and then bunny hop off it to gain a massive amount of speed and just hit battle on like a truck coming in. Meanwhile, Shredberg in the last room of Unraveling, letting the Seeker break the wall for him to get through, and then grabbing that last coin. The pro dodges. Nice job. That's the scariest room in Chapter 5 by far. Vallu likes to try this ultra strat, and he got it. Very nicely done. Shredberg using that platform to get up to the next room, which is the intended strat. You can also wall bounce to get up there, but that's a little bit precise. And Shredberg approaching the Theo section. Now, as Vallu is about halfway through the battle in flight, about to get told, ironically, that she is not a mountain climber. When in fact she is actually climbing it faster than 99.999% of the population. Okay, so yeah, this room can be annoying. You have to wait on that block actually quite a long time. See, Vallu was a little bit high there. It's because he didn't quite wait long enough to let the momentum reside from that block. Can be pretty annoying to wait that long. So this room was the bane of Vallu in the last run. Let's see if he can get redemption on this one as well. And he absolutely does. That was flawless. Very nicely done by Vallu. He gets his redemption, finishes Chapter 6. Okay. Finishes Chapter 6. Does that count as a commentator's curse? I don't know. It might. This time with the sub 630. Very respectable Chapter 6 from Vallu. Very nice time. Shredberg finishing up Chapter 5. Let's see if he can... he was playing hopscotch with the Seeker there. Using the Seeker to get up top. I'm honestly not sure what shoved Theo back into the field of play there from the spikes. That was interesting. Alright, Vallu. Starting Chapter 7. Chapter 7 is going to be your culmination of each level's mechanics, all wrapped together in one nice package. Oh, that pesky spike. I've hit that spike so many times. Summit base is sneaky difficult. Meanwhile, Shredberg starting off Chapter 6. Vallu entering and is underway through 500 meters. 500 meters is essentially the city revisit. Good save there. That's one of the main differences, and I say this all the time, but that's one of the main differences between a top runner and an aspiring top runner is the fact to adapt to your own mistakes. The ability, excuse me, not the fact. The ability to adapt to your own mistakes and react accordingly. So Vallu likes the hyper out of these dream blocks. Let's see to what extent he does. So in addition to jumping out of these dream blocks, you can actually hyper dash as well, although it's a lot tighter. And it's pretty risky in screens like this. Oh, he just didn't get his dash back. It's pretty risky in screens like this, where if you miss, you actually just dash straight down and right. Which, as you can see, there's no floor here. So that's a bit problematic. See, like that. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Adapting to your own mistakes accordingly. That was a very nice save there by Vallu. You know, only losing a second as opposed to losing 4 from a death it goes a long way. And it adds up. Nicely handled room there. Vallu, as Shredberg is about halfway through Chapter 6. Shredberg choosing the top route. You don't see a lot of runners do this. Choosing the top route here. The top route is technically faster, but it's a lot more difficult. And it's only faster if you do the room perfectly as well. It's about 0.3 seconds faster. It's not that significant, but it is an option. (2,000 meters for Vallu. Meanwhile, Shredberg navigating through these Devon Tennis shortcuts. He's going to go for the last one and get it. Very nicely done. That's actually really scary. It's really scary to go for the last checkpoint, because if you go for the last checkpoint and you don't go up to the left, you actually start the room entirely over if you die there. As opposed to if you don't try it, you actually start at a checkpoint right near that last step intended shortcut. So it is actually pretty risky to do that. Okay, nice adjustment. Nice adjustment there by Vallu. So Vallu is in a position right here where if my calculations, my inner calculations are correct, and they very well might not be, but I think they are. So his PB is in about 5 minutes, or it's going to be passing up in about 5 minutes. So he's got 5 minutes to finish 2,500 and 3,000. I think PB is totally doable for Vallu. Meanwhile, key skip there. Very nicely done. That skip is a little bit unintuitive for new runners. Mainly because it's just, you need to hold 0 directionals. Just jump twice, neutrally. Still requires timing, but... Nice skip there by Vallu. Vallu is not going to be attempting door skip, and I totally understand the sentiment. Vallu has an outside chance at PB, and he does not want to risk losing 5, 6, 7 seconds to save 1 second doing door skip. For those who don't know, door skip is a skip where you do not press either of those buttons, and you just dash underneath the doors. It's about a 3-pixel window for each. Vallu's starting 3,000 meters. So as 3,000 meters is mainly a vertical section where you're climbing mostly straight upwards. You'll see Vallu taking advantage of wall bounces quite a bit. Especially with this downdraft section. As I mentioned back in Chapter 4, dashing and dash momentum is not affected by wind, so dashing upwards and wall bouncing falls under that category and will actually play very well into runners' advantages through wind. A little bit of a hiccup at the start of 3000 for Vallu, but he seems to have recovered pretty well. Again, Vallu's PB is 3440. So he's got about 2.5 minutes from here. So solid play for Vallu here will result in a PB, so let's keep our fingers crossed for that. That's okay. This is a crucial spot right here, this triple lock switch. Very nice. That's probably the most punishing spot in Summit to die, by the way, is right at the end of that lock switch section. So that can be pretty nerve-wracking, especially with the... You have a pretty small space to dash up there. Reverse jump dash, very nicely done there. Meanwhile, Shredberg is just finishing up Chapter 6. Just finishing up Battle Line. Vallu's been very smooth since the wall bounce trouble at the beginning. Nice. There's flag 2. And flag 1 just maintaining enough stamina to get to flag 1. And it looks like, barring any sort of catastrophe, this is a pretty big PB for Vallu. GG. 34.08 wins the race and PBs by about 32 seconds. Great run by Vallu. Fantastic stuff, man. It's always fun to see a runner coming down the stretch on PB pace. We've had so many in this tournament. It's actually been remarkable how many players have PB'd since the start of this tournament. It's like almost every race you see somebody PB. Alright, and now we have Shredberg making his way through 500 meters. Yeah, Shredberg's PB on SRC is it's actually not on SRC, but his PB is a 49. So PB is definitely in the cards for Shredberg as well. We could see a double PB here. Meanwhile, we'll see if Vallu will be in for an interview very shortly. And we're joined by Vallu. Vallu, congratulations, dude.
Oh, hello. Thank you.
No problem. Congrats on the PB.
Thanks. 30-second PB.
Yeah, that was very, very smooth playing down the stretch.
Thanks.
Well, Shredberg has just entered 1,000 meters. Choosing to use the spring there. Okay, nice recovery. Yeah, these dream blocks here are really hard to. They're hard to get enough distance to cover the spikes if you don't jump out of them. So if you miss a jump out of them, it can be pretty troublesome sometimes. So Vallu, we had just talked last race. I casted your last race as well, which was just a couple of hours ago.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, in times of stress or tension, just focusing on inputs, focusing on, the gameplay as opposed to what could happen or what has happened. Do you feel like that helped you this race?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Sometimes during the downtime in the summit, I start thinking about my pace, and that makes me nervous.
That can be super easy to do. I'm guilty of that myself. It's like almost impossible to not do. To be honest, it's like Shredberg utilizing some a platform there that I actually like. It never occurred to me that you could stand on that. It's interesting.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
Ooh. Oh, well done there. I think he had the distance to make that, but retrying, I guess he didn't think he had the distance. Or maybe he didn't have a dash, I didn't see.
Oh, he didn't have a dash.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw red.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Finishing up 1500, moving on to 2000. Be interesting to see how Shredberg handles some of the longer screens in 2000. Choosing to go the lower route. I haven't seen this route in a long time, actually.
Oh wait, is this place completely optional?
Yeah.
You ever go there for even strawberries?
I believe so, yeah. It's supposed to be like the intended way to go, but like the way we go in the speedrun is just like, I guess it's considered a secret.
Yeah, a hidden path.
Yeah, which reveals a strawberry. It can be a little bit tough to get up there though sometimes because it does require either a screen transition, getting your dash back, or a wall bouncing up there, which can be tight.
Yeah.
This is Swagberry from Shredberg. Let's go. Making up for the strawberry he missed at the beginning of 2000. And nicely handled there. Moving on to 2500. PB is still very possible for Shredberg. Bubble didn't know where it wanted to go for a second. smart with that extra dash down to avoid hyper dashing into the spikes there. Oh, that's unfortunate. Looked like he just got a neutral jump there instead of climbing. Shredberg opting to not do the key skip. Just perfectly fine if you're not comfortable with it. It only saves somewhere between 5 and 8 seconds, I'm guessing.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
thought it said much more.
Well, it depends on how long it takes to do the last stream. Ooh, nice momentum boost there from Shredberg. That was cool.
Oh, interesting.
Shredberg is going for door skip. Oh, never mind. He opted to not do it at the very last second. Decided to give it one try and then decided not to try it again, which is totally respectable.
I'd go for door skip on PB pace.
I noticed, and I completely respect that decision. Like, I mean, coming from somebody who, like, began, like, I was like the main, the main dissuader of door skip when it was like first like a thing, and that was the reason why. Like, you know, you don't want to lose on PB pace, especially. You don't want to lose like somewhere like 4, 5, 6, even like 7, 8 seconds, trying door skip to save 1 second.
Yeah.
I completely understand that. Late in the run too, when nerves are definitely a thing. It's not particularly a hard skip when you practice it, but like when your hands are shaking down the stretch, it can be definitely like it can be definitely difficult.
Yep. And you don't really need the time save with a 34 time.
I liked seeing you get redemption on that chapter 6, by the way. That was pretty cool to see from earlier.
Yeah, thanks.
The last screen especially was flawless.
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes it just goes really badly.
That can happen. Chapter 6 is just one of those chapters, man. Like,
so much precise stuff.
Yeah. I always say that chapter 6 is just so full of little tiny time-saving strats, but they're difficult. So it really separates the top runners from the aspiring top runners to save that time in chapter 6.
Definitely.
I believe he could have saved that. I think he could have landed on the... Actually, well, I'm not sure. Never mind. Maybe with the updraft. I don't remember if you can grab that without a dash.
Seems tight.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, this is the meat of 3000 right here. Climbing carefully. Yeah, this place is... Ooh, good save. This place is really tight on stamina there, so... It's a good on Shredberg to save that stamina just by climbing instead of trying to jump. He saved it really well, too, with the neutral jump. Just get confirmation here. confirmation on Shredberg's PB. His PB is a 49.56. Opting to get flag 8. This is looking like definite pace for Shredberg. Taking it slow and steady up this 3,000. He likely knows he's on pace and just is playing to not make a major mistake right now, which is pretty smart. No stamina issues for Shredberg. And barring any flag 1 mishaps, this is going to be a 48 for Shredberg. Very nicely done. Oh, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a double PB for both Vallu and Shredberg. GG's to both runners. Very nicely done.
Let's go.
And we'll see if Shred wants to come in for an interview as well. Continuing the trend is Shredberg for PBs in this tournament. And
Hello.
we're joined by Shredberg. Hello, welcome, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yep, congrats on the PB and great showing in the race, dude. It was fun to watch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
congrats.
thanks. Golded both chapters 6 and 7. Usually those are ones where I just completely kill my runs, but was able to not I don't want to say not choke it because it's, you know, I'm just not very consistent. Only been running this for a few weeks, so but just was able to get through it. Got 58 deaths, which is like, I think that's the fewest I've gotten in a run so far. Usually I'm like in the 70s.
Fantastic. Yep, I'm sure you've learned by now. Chapters 6 and 7 are definitely the chapters to practice, and that they're definitely just like by far the most important chapters in the game.
I just need to grind those because like I think that this one was about 15 minutes for chapter 7, which is more than that. So I can take off like 2 minutes by just spending a day grinding chapter 7. Make it a lot easier. Same thing with chapter 6.
Yeah, for sure. It's no coincidence that they're the 2 longest chapters in the game too. Like they're for that reason, I think they're the most important. Yeah, this is a lot of fun to commentate for. Thank you guys very much for running, for racing. That was fun.
Yeah, thank you.
for
Vallu, GG
commentating.
on the PB. Congrats.
Oh, thank you. And GG on the race.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, any last words you guys want to get out there before we wrap this up and head on to other things?
Not really.
Yeah, nothing for me. Just thanks for commentating. Appreciate it. And yeah, Vallu, good luck on your runs going forward. You know, 3-0's a good start, so I'm sure you'll get to bracket, so good luck there.
Oh, thank you. Good luck to you as well.
Thanks.
All right, awesome. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thank you guys very much. Thanks for watching, everyone. This has been the Celeste Any Tournament. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. And for now, I am TGH, and thank you guys for watching. See you guys another time.
Bye.